That may be the greatest catch I've ever seen in my life.
Alright guys, this channel has gotten way more support than I ever expected it to. I mean, 1,000 subscribers in 1 week, and y'all are continuing to smash that like button. I want to give everyone a massive thank you who has decided to subscribe to the channel, as well as who have been dropping likes on the videos, because that is what's getting our channel recommended to new listeners, and I really appreciate it. Well, that's it. In this video, we are going to be talking about the opening night performances for the NBA fantasy season. Extremely excited from what we saw. I was actually at the opening night for the Toronto Raptors game in Tampa Bay. So this year, in my book, they are the Tampa Bay Raptors. But regardless, a lot of fun. And let's dive into the highlight players that we need to discuss. And let's first start it off with our #1 draft day target if you were selecting in the middle of round 1 for 2020, and this is Jokić. Okay, so with Jokić, guys, starts the season off with a triple-double, and this is the reason that we loved him in fantasy drafts. I mean, I don't know how many times we have to talk about it, but he is giving you assist numbers that you simply do not find from big men. I mean, the fact that he is able to go out there and drop almost 30 points in a game combined with 15 rebounds and 13 assists is literally making him a unicorn. You could never find a player like Jokić at any other position. And on top of that, we know that he is also giving us blocks. He had 3 blocks in this game. Well, it's extremely important for us to not overreact and not overvalue any of these opening night performances. I mean, Jokić came out and showed us exactly why we were drafting him in round 1 aggressively with a fantastic performance. All right, so now our next player that we need to talk about is going to be the storyline for most people, and this is going to be Morant. Okay, Morant coming out here over 40 points. He was the youngest player in NBA history to drop 40 points, and he did it on opening night. I mean, especially on the same night where Zion really did not look like anything special. Morant looks like he is taking that next step. 2 rebounds and 9 assists. So he's just getting an incredible amount of usage on his team. And on top of that, we know that the sky is the limit. I mean, if you look at his athletic profile, you look at what he's been able to do at such a young age in the NBA. I mean, go down to the comment section. Let me know how many points you think that this player can average in his second season. Maybe are we going to see a Luka Doncic type jump? Personally, I don't know. I am very excited though. All right, so now our next storyline that we need to discuss is Lamelo Ball. Okay, this is exactly why I was really trying to avoid the younger players in fantasy drafts this season. I think a lot of players like Lamelo get overdrafted simply off their name, simply off their highlights, not necessarily the amount of minutes they're going to see in the rotation, combined with the efficiency they should see very early on in their NBA careers. I mean, Lamelo did not see a single point. He had 1 rebound, 3 assists, and he only played 16 minutes in this game. I mean, exactly why I really did not want to go out there and draft him. This is why we were taking players instead like Al Horford, someone that we knew was going to get minutes, who's not necessarily exciting. But when you have that heavy role on your team and you are going to have the ball in your hands for a good amount of possessions, that is going to translate directly to fantasy production. I don't think we see that with Lamelo. Obviously, this is just opening night. Obviously, we're not expecting him to come out here and have a massive performance. But I think this is exactly what we are expecting. We are expecting him to be a limited role player on this team until we see him transition his game later on in the season. So please don't overreact. I don't think that we should be looking Lamelo in a different light than we were beforehand. You just should have understood when you were taking him in the middle rounds of your fantasy basketball draft that you were not taking someone that was going to make an impact for you right away. You're taking an upside flyer that maybe can make an impact later on this season. Personally, I don't know if that happens in 2020, which is why we are avoiding him. But still, please do not panic. I mean, if you drafted him, that was for his elite ceiling in terms of the usage that he could see with the ball in his hands in the offense, not necessarily what he's going to have at the very beginning of the season. Okay, so speaking of someone with elite usage in his offense, let's talk about Trae Young. I mean, Trae Young, fantastic. In my opinion, maybe the best opening night performance. On only 26 minutes, he dropped 37 points, 6 rebounds, 7 assists, and went 10 for 12 from the field. I mean, absolutely absurd the efficiency we saw here. Clearly, he did not have to go out there and play 32, 33 minutes this game due to the fact that the Atlanta Hawks were having a large lead, and really the game was not even in contention. But what we just have to understand here is Trae Young is going to have his hands on the ball very, very, very often in this Atlanta Hawks offense. Obviously, this is a team that's not necessarily going to be a fantastic team if we are looking at their defense. But I think based on Trae Young's usage, based on his efficiency from the field, I mean, there are a ton of reasons to be excited about what Trae can do for you in terms of his assist, as well as his points scored and his three-pointers this season. Okay, so now our next player that we're going to talk about is Terry Rozier, coming in here and having a fantastic game. I mean, 10 for 16 from three-point range. Obviously, this is not something that we are going to be expecting every single game. Just something that I want to point out and talk about because I know it's going to be a storyline for a lot of people. I don't think it's very predictive of future success, but it's a hell of a start to a very intriguing season. Now, our next player that we're going to talk about is really not going to be in many storylines, but I feel like we need to. And this is going to be Anthony Edwards. Okay, with Anthony Edwards, very similar to Lamelo Ball. I was not drafting him in fantasy drafts this year. Really did not know what the role on his team was going to look like. Did not know how many minutes he was going to be seeing per game. But I mean, opening night, already seeing 25 minutes, had 4 rebounds, 4 assists, went 5 from 12 from the field. So obviously not a very special night in terms of his overall points, rebounds, assists. But knowing that he is getting the minutes on this roster is extremely encouraging for the #1 overall pick. I mean, Anthony Edwards, did not like him in fantasy drafts, but if he's going to increase his usage in this offense, I think that's going to be an incredible thing for anybody who decided to draft him. Okay, so now our next player that we're going to talk about is another player that I was not drafting, but he had a fantastic opening night performance. RJ Barrett, I mean, 26 points, 11 for 15, 8 rebounds, and 5 assists. I mean, RJ Barrett, I did not like coming into the NBA. RJ Barrett, I definitely did not like after his rookie season, but he was clearly the focal point for this New York Knicks offense. And clearly, this Knicks roster needs some offensive firepower, and they're going to be looking at RJ Barrett, who, yes, did not put up a rookie season to live up to the hype that he had in the 2019 NBA draft. But we just have to understand that this was a very young player with a ton of talent. And obviously, we're not going to overreact to these opening night games. Obviously, the NBA season is completely different than the NFL, and the sample size is so much larger. You really don't want to overact to small performances. But still, an extremely impressive showing from RJ Barrett. Now, our next player, unbelievable, Russell Westbrook, coming out here 36 minutes. Yes, he did not see the efficiency. I mean, he went 9 for 22 from the field, but came through with a triple-double to start this season. 11 rebounds, 15 assists. I mean, Russell Westbrook looks exactly like he did in Oklahoma City, where, yes, he's not going to be an efficient player. But what he is going to do is he is going to get so many possessions in his offense. We know that this Wizards team is a very bad defensive unit. We know that they are going to see a good amount of possessions per game. Westbrook is going to have the ball in his hands every single one of those. Westbrook is going to be pushing the floor, and he should be able to fill up the stat category. Yes, he's going to fill it up in turnovers as well, but I really don't like the idea of trying to avoid turnovers in fantasy basketball. I think that's a category that's so volatile week to week that really, if you're trying to avoid it, you're just going to be doing yourself a disservice at every single other. Okay, so now our next player that we're going to talk about is actually a teammate of players. Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant looked unreal in the opening game for the NBA, combining for 48 points, 9 rebounds, 7 assists. I know these are not great numbers, but we have to understand this was in 49 total minutes. I mean, this team was just dominant from the jump. Kevin Durant looks like he is 100% back from that injury, as well as Kyrie Irving. Very excited for this Nets roster going forward. Yeah. Great game. And now our last player that we're going to talk about is going to be Steph Curry. Steph Curry dropped 20 points, but the efficiency wasn't anywhere close to what we were expecting from Curry. He went 2 for 10 from 3-point range, 7 for 21 overall. And this is going to be how we end out the video, guys. Please do not overreact to these opening night performances. This is such a small data point in a very large sample that this is just more of something to get excited about. I mean, the NBA is back, but please do not overreact to these performances. And that's all I got for y'all. Really hope y'all enjoyed this video. I really hope y'all got something from it. As always, if y'all did, go down there, drop that like, leave that comment, subscribe to the channel. It really, really helps us out. And yeah, that's it. I hope I'll see y'all with the video tomorrow.